Hey everyone, and welcome to your deep dive. We're really diving in today with this interview with Ian Carroll.
Yeah.
You guys have sent over some really fascinating material.
Yeah, this is juicy.
Corruption, corporate monopolies, individual action.
Yeah.
Get ready for some serious aha moments as we unpack all of this.
Absolutely. So, Carroll doesn't just throw around buzzwords like corruption.
Right.
He's like, follow the money.
Yeah.
You know,
Hmm.
he argues that if you really want to understand how these systems work,
Right.
you have to look at who benefits financially,
Mm-hmm.
right? Not just from the problems that we see,
Uh-huh.
but from the solutions that were being sold.
Oh, that's an interesting way to put it.
Yeah.
So it's not enough to just see the problem on the surface.
Yeah.
You have to follow the money to see who's potentially benefiting from it all.
Yeah. And who might be pulling the strings behind the scenes.
Yeah, that is a little unsettling when you think about it.
It is, but it's also kind of intriguing, right?
Mhm.
Like a puzzle.
It is.
So think about, you mentioned corporate monopolies, but let's think about like the 2008 financial crisis,
Okay.
or even like the weird economic things that happened after the pandemic.
Right.
Carroll argues that, these events, they're complex, obviously,
Sure.
but often they point back to a system where certain institutions, certain players benefit from instability.
Mm.
So he uses this example of massive financial institutions, right?
Yeah.
And he's like, okay, so they might profit from creating these risky financial products.
Right.
But then guess what? They also profit from providing the solution
Oh, so they benefit on both ends.
on both ends.
So it's almost like setting a fire just so you can be the hero and put it out.
Exactly.
Except we're not talking about like a small campfire.
Right.
We're talking about like the global economy here.
The whole forest is on fire.
Yeah, and we're all kind of standing around.
Exactly. And some people are making money off selling the water to put it out.
Right. And it's like, how did that fire even start in the first place?
It's a powerful analogy, right?
Yeah, it is.
And it leads us to Carroll's point about and I'm using his words here, giants in the shadows.
Ooh, giants in the shadows.
Yeah, he uses that term a lot.
Okay.
And these aren't your everyday corporations with like, one product.
Right.
We're talking about companies like BlackRock and Vanguard.
Okay. Yeah,
Yep.
I've heard those names, but to be honest,
Yeah.
they've always seemed kind of big and abstract. It's like these financial giants that are just kind of lurking in the background.
And that's precisely how they wield so much influence.
Okay.
Because, see, most people, when they think about corporations, right,
Yep.
they think about them as separate entities, right?
Mm.
Like Apple, ExxonMobil,
Yeah.
pick your poison.
Right.
But BlackRock and Vanguard,
Yeah.
through these things called index funds and ETFs,
Okay.
they own pieces of practically every major industry out there.
Really?
Media, agriculture, pharmaceuticals, you name it, they're invested.
Wait, so you're saying like my retirement fund,
Right.
which probably has some index funds in it,
Probably.
could actually be contributing to this concentration of corporate power that Carol's talking about?
Yeah.
Oh, wow. That's a little unnerving to think about.
It is. It's like the paradox of modern investing.
Oh,
You're trying to secure your future,
right.
but those investments could be inadvertently feeding the very system that Carroll's warning us about.
Wow. Yeah.
So, I mean, have you ever considered that your money might be working against your own interests in this way?
Honestly, no, not until now. But
Yeah.
what I find really fascinating about all of this
Yeah.
is that Carroll is using a platform like TikTok to get this message out.
It's pretty savvy, right?
Yeah, because it seems so counterintuitive, right?
Totally.
To fight corporate power on a platform that's literally owned by one of these giants.
But it's brilliant. Carroll understands the power of social media for disseminating information, even if it means playing on their turf.
Right, and it's working.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, he's amassed, what, hundreds of thousands of followers?
In a matter of months.
In a matter of months.
Which tells me that people are hungry for this information. They're hungry for someone to connect these dots
Yeah.
and explain how these systems work.
It's like they realize that the traditional gatekeepers
Yes.
aren't always giving us the full picture.
And that's where Carroll's call to action comes in.
Okay.
He doesn't just want to expose the problem.
Right.
He wants to empower us to find solutions.
Okay.
And a big part of that, he argues, is shifting our support to a different kind of business model.
Hmm.
One that prioritizes people in communities over profit margins.
So instead of these mega corporations,
Yeah.
Carroll is saying we should be looking at family-owned businesses.
Yeah.
Is that really like a viable alternative, though, in today's world?
Well, Carroll would say it has to be,
Okay.
at least in part.
Right.
He's not saying it's easy.
Yeah.
But he wants us to think about the motivations.
Okay.
Like corporations, especially publicly traded ones,
Yeah.
right? They're beholden to their shareholders,
Right.
which means maximizing profits is their primary directive.
Right. Their whole reason for existing, pretty much.
Exactly.
Whereas a family-owned business might
Yeah.
have different priorities.
For sure.
Like, they might be more invested in the well-being of their employees or the community they operate in.
Absolutely.
Because their families live and work in those communities.
It's a totally different ballgame.
Yeah.
Think about it this way.
Okay.
Would you rather support like a faceless corporation
Right.
whose only concern is their bottom line,
Yeah.
or a business where, the owners
Right.
are invested in the long-term health of their community
Yeah.
and their families?
That their decisions are guided by
I've-
something more than just profit.
Exactly.
Okay, I see what you mean.
Yeah,
But Carroll takes it a step further, right?
he does.
He doesn't just want us to, like, support different businesses.
Right.
He wants us to actively boycott certain products,
Yeah.
particularly those made by companies like Procter & Gamble.
Procter & Gamble, that's a big one for him.
Yeah.
And it's interesting, right?
Yeah.
Because Procter & Gamble, this huge conglomerate,
Huge.
they own everything.
I mean, they really do.
Shampoo, laundry detergent, toilet paper,
Yeah.
you name it.
It's almost impossible to avoid them.
Right. And Carroll would argue that's precisely the point.
Exactly.
He wants us to see just how pervasive these mega corporations are in our daily lives.
It's inescapable almost.
Yeah.
So by choosing to buy like a locally made soap or something
Right.
instead of like a big P&G brand,
Yeah.
I'm making a statement.
More than a statement. You're casting a vote.
Oh, okay.
Carroll would say every dollar we spend
Yeah.
is a vote for the kind of world we want to live in.
Hmm.
It's like he's saying, hey, forget ballots for a second.
Okay.
Your wallet is your most powerful tool for change.
That's a powerful way to put it.
Yeah.
But let's be real.
Yeah.
Can one person boycotting Head and Shoulders really make a difference?
Well, it's not about single actions, right?
Okay.
It's about a collective shift.
Okay.
One person boycotting P&G might not make them flinch,
Right.
but what if thousands did it?
Okay.
What if millions of us started redirecting our spending,
Hmm.
choosing alternatives whenever possible? That's when the real power of the consumer comes into play.
It's like we're conditioned to think that individual action is meaningless.
Totally.
But Carroll's saying that's the narrative these corporations want us to believe.
Of course. Keeps us all feeling powerless.
Yeah.
He wants us to reclaim our agency as consumers,
Okay.
recognize that our choices have consequences,
Right.
and that even small acts of resistance can create ripples of change.
Okay.
And it's not just about boycotting products. That's about supporting the businesses that align with our values.
Right.
Local farmers markets,
Mm-hmm.
independent bookstores, ethical clothing brands.
So it's like a whole different way
It is.
of approaching how we spend our money.
It's a restructuring
Yeah.
of how we think about our role in the economy.
It's not just about consuming. It's about making conscious choices.
Making choices that support a different system.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Okay.
And that's daunting for people.
It is a big ask.
It is. It requires a shift in mindset.
Yeah.
But Carroll's also realistic.
Okay.
He's not asking us to become like perfect ethical consumers overnight.
Right.
He just wants us to start asking the right questions.
Yeah. It's more about taking those first steps, right? Just becoming aware
Exactly.
of the choices we make every day.
Yeah.
And how those choices impact the bigger picture.
Totally. And it's not about being perfect.
Right. It's not about like achieving some perfect consumer scorecard.
No, it's about progress.
Yeah.
And it's about recognizing that even those small changes, those little shifts in our spending habits,
Yeah.
they send a message
They do.
to these corporations.
Yeah.
You know?
It's like we're showing them
Yeah.
that we're paying attention.
We're not just blindly consuming whatever they put in front of us.
Exactly. And
Mhm.
it kind of reminds me of something we were talking about earlier.
Yeah.
This whole thing about social media,
Right.
Carroll using TikTok.
Yeah, it's such an interesting choice.
Yeah, because it's a platform that's known for like,
Right.
short attention spans, viral
Sure.
trends. And it's
Yeah.
like, is that really the place for this kind of message?
And yet that's where a lot of people,
Yeah.
especially younger generations,
Right.
that's where they're getting their information these days.
And let's be real, the traditional gatekeepers,
Ooh, you said it.
the major news outlets,
Yeah.
they haven't always done a great job covering these issues
No.
in a way that's nuanced and accessible. And Carroll's kind of like bypassing all of that.
He's like straight to the source.
He's going straight to the
I
people.
love it.
Yeah.
Cutting through the noise,
Yeah, and sparking conversations that might not have happened otherwise.
for sure.
But, it's not always easy to talk about this stuff.
No, it's heavy.
I mean, some people might even call what Carroll's doing conspiracy theories.
Right, and it's a valid concern.
It is.
Because we're bombarded with information all the time.
All the time. And it's hard to know what to believe these days.
Totally, but that's just it.
Yeah.
Carroll's not saying, believe everything I say.
Right.
He's encouraging us to think critically.
Right.
Ask the tough questions.
Yeah.
Do our own research.
So it's more about, empowering people.
Exactly.
To be more informed.
Becoming your own fact checker.
Yeah.
Challenging assumptions.
Right.
Demanding more transparency.
And that's a message that goes beyond just this issue
100%.
of corporate control.
Right. It's about reclaiming our agency.
Yeah.
In a world where it often feels like we have none.
It's like we're not just passive consumers
That's the voice.
of products of information, of
Yeah.
the systems that we're born into.
We have power.
Yeah.
And we have a choice
We do.
in how we participate.
And those choices that we're making every single day,
Yes.
they matter.
They add up to something so much bigger.
They do. And, Carroll's message,
Yeah.
at its core, it's a hopeful message.
Is it?
It's a reminder that we have more power than we think we do.
Yes.
And that by acting collectively, we can create a more just and equitable world.
Couldn't have said it better myself.
It's a call to action, right?
It is.
Change doesn't happen overnight,
Nope.
but it happens one step,
One choice.
$1.
One action at a time.
And as we kind of wrap up this deep dive, I'm left wondering
Yeah.
if concentrating corporate power is the problem.
Okay.
Could a shift towards more localized, community-based economic models be part of the solution?
Interesting.
Supporting our local businesses and initiatives be
Yeah.
a more sustainable and empowering path forward.
Something to think about.
Something to think about as you continue your own explorations.
Absolutely.
Thanks for diving deep with us.